Hi guys, I'm Alex. I'm a founder of DarwinClaw company, and today I'm just recording a video of weekly update, basically the progress that we got. And the company, just some general thoughts. Company started like a couple of weeks ago, and I mean specifically this product started a couple of weeks ago. And the basic idea is to create a new OpenClaw version. All about OpenClaw. The new version is basically a version specifically for um, enterprise and B2B. So basically, what OpenClaw can do, it can do anything, right? If you give it full permissions, like on a specific machine, on a specific virtual machine, on your PC, it can run anything and do all the stuff you want. This is exactly why people love so much OpenClaw, and I love it very, very, very much. And I use it daily, but the first thing I've noticed, and basically, it was noticed not by me only. It was noticed by many companies that I do work with, and they said that they need OpenClaw for their company, but literally they said like, can we move to OpenClaw everything, like current bots, current RAG systems, current AI bots, everything, just move it to OpenClaw. And the main problem is that OpenClaw is a bot which is a personal bot, and this is the main problem. So if you install it somewhere inside a company perimeter, and then let everyone use it, then you will have following issues. Basically, first of all, the bot, I mean the OpenClaw bot, learns as it goes. Like, you tell it something, it can remember things, it can learn how to do things with you, what tools to use, and you can add new skills and whatever. And this is going to be shared across every single employee, which is bad, basically. So if you have, like, for in one company that I work with, we have 5,000 employees, and if they all use the same bot, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be just a nightmare, just a mess. So we need to make it not a personal bot, but we need to make it like personal bot for each employee, but with like access to company knowledge and company data. So that's exactly the first thing we're doing. Like, we're doing the bot, which can be a personal bot for each employee, but with a layer of company data and company knowledge. Again, OpenClaw, if you use just OpenClaw, everything, including every single message people send, will be shared across everyone, like who's using the same bot. In this case, this is no longer going to be an issue. It will be a personal workspace. Like in OpenClaw, you have a workspace where all your previous messages, permanent memory, skills, files that you've used, whatever, located. And this is not going to be shared. This is going to be your personal stuff within your employee workspace, plus additional access to company knowledge, like anything which company has. Another very important thing is not only about personal versus the company wide data, it's about resources, because unfortunately OpenClaw requires quite a lot of resources, and specifically I'm not going to be talking about CPU. Mostly it's all about memory. So like generally, to run one instance of OpenClaw, you need just to start it, you need I guess something about 200 or 300 megabytes. But if you're going to be using anything like, the more skills tools you use, the more memory you will need. And specifically, like if you use browsing, like it will require much more memory, like up to 1 gigabyte at least. So generally people, and myself, when you use OpenClaw, you need a virtual machine which is with at least 2 gigabytes of memory, so you have some space left after something is occupied by the system. Or better to have 3 gigabytes of memory or 4. And generally, like speaking, like let's speak money, basically it's gonna be something like, depends, but it's gonna be something like between 10 and $20 per instance. And this is fine for, like, if I rent it for myself, it's not a lot of money. But for big companies, like as I said, we have one company where there are like 5,000 employees, so you can multiply 5,000 by, I don't know, $10 or $20, and you get quite a big number. This needs to be paid per month, so this is too much. I mean, even for the big companies. So that's exactly why we reviewed all like available open source versions of OpenClaw, which included Python, Rust, Go versions, and decided to make our own version, which is gonna be optimized in terms of memory consumption. So you're still gonna have like if you have 5,000 employees, you will have 5,000 workspaces and 5,000 of instances running at the same time. But the memory is gonna be shared, like the memory gonna be managed in a better way. So basically, you can save money. So instead of probably paying like 10 and up to $20 per one employee, just for, not for tokens, just for place where you run your bots, you will pay, I don't know, I still don't know how much it's gonna be, but it's gonna be twice as less, or maybe even less. So we'll see. I will keep you updated. Just keep watching my updates. I hope I will do it weekly. But it's gonna be, if it's gonna be like 50% of $10, or maybe 30% of $10, it's gonna be much better for the company. Yeah, that's it basically. This is the first version that we're doing. Like we call it DarwinClaw B2B Enterprise, and specifically this version we call it Moon, like DarwinClaw Moon version, because I just consider that current OpenClaw is like Earth is where we all located, and then we just going up is the moon, like so next version is gonna be Moon. It's gonna be a B2B enterprise version. I hope we will be able to release it like somewhere end of April, maybe early May. We'll see. And in April we're going to be testing this version on two big customers. As one of them I mentioned, they have like 5,000 employees and many bots. Yeah, and we will have some feedback and improve it and test it and so on. So this is great that we have two big companies where we can actually land our new DarwinClaw bots and test it properly. So basically, let's get to current week update. What was actually done this week? Yeah, I think I already mentioned that we started just a couple of weeks ago in terms of doing this product. So this week we were mostly focused on three things: backend, frontend, and some general stuff. On backend, we were able to assemble and test basically the full backend schema, which include master API plus slave API. So not gonna be going into many technical details, but generally, like you need to be able to manage many like instances of virtual machines in order to place your user instances on them. And there are actually kind of solutions for that, like Kubernetes, Docker. So, and then there is a ready-made sort of open source thing for OpenClaw. But actually all of them, we've tested all of them, we tried all of them for OpenClaw specifically, all of them actually consume a lot of memory, and we don't want it. So we're doing our own solution, and yeah, we were able this week to assemble this first version and test it, which includes like master PC, which is basically which orchestrates slave machines, and you can say, okay, start a new instance for these users somewhere, and then master machines decide where to start depending on capacity and starts it on some slave machine. We still need to test it, so probably a couple more weeks to test it and make it work properly, but it looks promising. I mean, it consumes very tiny amount of memory. And another big thing is basically for example, I see the current solutions, like there are many hosters, company which do host OpenClaw, and where you can go and start your instance of OpenClaw, and it usually takes like 40 seconds up to a minute to like kick off the instance, and the same time to restart it if something is wrong. which is too much. I mean, for us, we targeting like to do it in 3-4 seconds, like to raise the instance, like maybe 5 seconds, something like that. Another thing is capacity management, which is currently implemented and will be used to manage the capacity across the many slave machines. Then we have a new just system for for users to have a unique name of instances. Is another was implemented this week as well. Created the first readme basically for internal, for our team mostly, that how to use it, how to raise a slave machine, how to run the master machine, whatever. Then created a list of basically basic endpoints, like to create machines, to delete, to create instances, delete instances of DarwinClaw, to restart instances, to get list of instances, to get status and so on. So again, very common thing, but gonna be very useful. On back end, that's it. On front end, we have created a first version of as we call it personal office. So like on every single site you have some area where you can log in and see your orders, see your stuff basically. We're gonna have exactly the same thing, but as long as it's as long as you're gonna be seeing the your agents, and basically agents that do stuff for you, then we call it like a personal office, because it's exactly what it is. It's a personal office. Maybe sometime later, if we have time, we're gonna implement something like some visual stuff, like where you can see your agents doing stuff. People already doing it on like you can see it on GitHub. Many, like when you run your agents, you have 5 agents, and you see this actual office where people who are actually agents working around doing things. It looks funny. I mean, it's not probably very useful, but people like it. I mean, I've just had a demonstration to one big company that this thing can be kind of done as well, and they kind of excited basically. So, and we excited as well, because some fun stuff to do, not just back end, but some front end, some fun front end stuff. Again, another thing which I'm lacking in the current OpenClaw version, the one I'm currently using 2 separate bots, and inside each bot I have a number of agents to do things like for my daily stuff and business. And the thing I'm liking a lot is basically I wanna have a direct access to my files. Basically, I have workspace somewhere on a virtual machine, and my bot can manage these files. But every time I need to do a simple things, like just to look into some file, like maybe I've done some screenshots when I was asking bot to browse some sites and fill out some forms, and I just need to have a look at these forms, and all I can do is just ask bot, like, bot, can you find the screenshot that was blah blah blah, whatever, and he sometimes finds this, but it's not like a common thing that we usually do with our files. We wanna see our files directly, so that's exactly why in a first version of DarwinClaw we're gonna be having this first version of disk feature, basically drive feature. So you're gonna be having your drive, which you can mount in basically in your browser and see it as a disk, as a drive on your PC, on macOS, on Windows, and maybe later on basically on mobile. That's it on front end. And now just a couple of things on general things. We were last 2 weeks we were able to create our roadmap for basically for I guess for the next year, and we have 9 versions of DarwinClaw already in this roadmap. You can have a look at this roadmap on our website, and you can get a link down here. And that's our vision basically. Obviously it's going to be updated as we go. Another thing that we've done, as I've mentioned already, I guess, or maybe not, we in the first version of enterprise B2B version of OpenClaw, which is DarwinClaw Moon, we're gonna have a first vertical we call vertical things like DarwinClaw version, which has predefined abilities or skills or whatever. And first versions that people are actually asking us already, and I'm using it personally on daily basis, is basically landings management thing. In a couple of words, what is that? So every single business has lots of sites and landings, and it's sometimes it's a nightmare to manage them. Before, you need like to hire someone, to ask freelancer to change things on your site, to create a new page, to to update your site. Usually takes quite long time, and actually costs quite a lot of money. So many people use WordPress as a constructor for websites, and you can manage your sites yourself. But when you have a big zoo of sites, like like I have 12 sites or something like that, most of them just landings, but not a big site, but still it's a nightmare to manage them in a WordPress. So you need to do it individually for each of them. So what I've done, I've just asked this first version of DarwinClaw that I'm using now to basically to parse all my current sites and to recreate them on virtual machine where this DarwinClaw is located. And now whenever I need to change something, I just ask my bot, like, please do change this on this site, and that's it, and it's done in a minute. I think the biggest benefit, not only the cost reduction, so I know you need to pay for WordPress or whatever, you need to pay for freelancer who is going to be doing it, but it's a reduction in a feedback loop. So for example, you've got an idea, like sometimes I'm just running, like doing cycling on running, and then I've got an idea, like, oh, I need to update my site X for Y, and I can do it on a run now. I just say, like, to my bot, can you update on the site, blah 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 blah, and it does it in a couple of minutes. Then I look at the site straight away, and as I say, yeah, good, but change this thing a little bit, and so on. So pretty simple, very useful. I'm pretty sure many people already using OpenClaw for specifically for that, and this is gonna be a first kind of vertical version of that we're gonna be presenting in DarwinClaw as well. And another thing that we've done this week is we discussed DarwinClaw implementation in two big companies. One of them, just to give you a scale, one of them has got 5,000 employees, and in both of them we already involved in we have created lots of AI bots for both of these companies. So now they want us to implement OpenClaw, because they already started using it, like like different employees using it here and there, but it's not all connected. And now we're gonna be releasing this version, which makes everything works in terms of like having individual bot, personal bot, plus all company data, company rules. Yeah, one thing I probably forgot to mention is basically which is important for B2B and enterprise version is we will implement different roles. So basically, let's say we have one bot like OpenClaw, and now this one bot is actually not one bot. It depends on who is actually asking. Like before, you in OpenClaw you have just one role, like you are the owner of the bot, and you can do anything that is configured and allowed. And for any business, we need at least two completely different roles. Let's say a simple user, which is a simple employee, who can manage his own personal files, manage his own personal board, configure his own personal board, do the stuff inside his personal workspace, but he can't go outside of his workspace and look into the other employees files, and he can't change things that how bot behaves for other employees. But on the other hand, we have managers in the company, and maybe specifically HR, who wants to implement some general rules for every single employee. And this is gonna be so at least you should have some kind of admin role, like admin who's working with the same bot, might have his personal space as well and do whatever he wants with his personal space and his personal bot, but he also allowed to manage in a way other profiles of other employees, other workspaces. For example, he can add some mandatory data to each workspace. He can remove something. He can check things like, you know, on employee profiles, whatever. So this is gonna be again one big part of this first version of DarwinClaw Moon. Okay, we'll stop here, and please visit our site and subscribe to this channel. I will give you updates. I will try to give it every week. So thank you, and we'll see you soon, and bye.